Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Let's get started. So for this recipe, you're going to need a pinch of salt. You can use about 1/8 teaspoon of salt. I have 1 teaspoon of sea salt. You're going to need 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. Your third ingredient is going to be ice water. I have a bowl of ice water here. You're going to need about 1/4 cup of ice water. We're not going to use the ice in the recipe, but the water has to be cold. Actually, all of the ingredients have to be cold. You can use a food processor to make it quicker and to cut out a little bit of the arm work, but I actually love using my pastry cutter to make my dough. And I feel like I don't know, I just feel like it's a little bit more hands-on. It's a little more old school, and I actually love using this versus a food processor. If you don't have a food processor, I think I saw one for about like $45 at Walmart, but this pastry cutter was only about $8. Also, our last ingredient is the cold butter. This butter has to be cold. This was actually the first ingredient that I got together. You need a 1/2 cup of cold butter, not melted, not room temperature. You want it cold. So I just cubed up my butter, placed it in the fridge until I got the rest of my ingredients. So again, that's 1 1/4 cup of flour going in our bowl. This recipe is very simple and it's quick. So we're going to add our cube cold butter, guys. All the ingredients have to be cold. We're going to add our butter, get our pastry cutter, and incorporate that butter into our flour. We want to get it down to about, I want to say, kind of almost like a crumble. The food processor is going to break it down even more, but it really doesn't matter. It's still going to come out just as equally delicious, and I love using this. I don't know if I love making a mess more, but I definitely love using this and just kind of being hands-on with any dough I'm making, whether it's pie crust, pizza dough. It's kind of like the big kid in me. I hate cleaning up the mess, but I love making it. So we're just going to give this a few, and in between, we're going to just make sure we're getting that butter off of our off of our pastry cutter, like you see I'm doing. Sorry. Get it down, and as you can see, our cubes have become smaller. Normally in the baking industry, we call this like pea size. You want to get it down to about, they say pea size. I say you want to get it to about 1/2 of a pea size, because peas are still if you get fresh peas, they're still a pretty decent size. So we're going to chop this down and just use your patience, because it's not going to take long once we add our ice water. So let's get it. Chop, chop, chop. Clean our pastry cutter again. Get some of that butter off, because we definitely want all of our butter in there. Also, note guys, this recipe is for a standard size pie crust. I actually made another one yesterday, so I will be using double this recipe. So I'll have both of the recipes listed below. So as you can see, we added our salt into this. That was after we added our butter. The butter is not salted. So we don't have salted butter. This is sweet cream unsalted butter. So that's the reason why I did add the pinch of salt in there. I've actually never tried it with salted butter. Maybe I'll do that. I'm not sure if it's going to make much of a difference. I'm pretty sure in flavor, but just how it bakes. So we'll see. So now we're going to add our ice water. We wanted ice water. We just don't want to cut on our sink and use the cold water. We want it ice cold, because this water is actually going to keep our butter cold as well, because we do want that butter cold. So I'm just measuring out 1/4 cup. And that's it. So we're going to add that, and then we're going to just use our hands. Yes. So I know it doesn't look like much, but watch as it comes together. It's going to come together with no problem. And there we are. Again, this is for a standard size pie because I'm more of a deep dish pie girl. I love deep dish pie. So again, I'm going to have the measurements for you to double this recipe in the description box. I'll have the standard size, and then I'll also have the measurement for this recipe doubled for you guys. If you have like a deeper dish baking pan, or if you're like me and you just love extra crust, because I do. I love extra crust. So this is for a standard size pie. If you want to do the double recipe, just make sure that you follow the double recipe ingredients. Same exact steps, nothing different. Same ingredients, nothing different. The only thing different is that we're going to be doubling it up. That's it. But it's the same 4 ingredients: water, butter, flour, and a pinch of salt. So as you can see, we have this beautiful dough, and I'm excited about it. I love making this. It's kind of like clay, right? We want to work it. You don't have to overwork it, but you do want to get it into more of a square-like ball, and just make sure you don't have a lot of air pockets. I roll it just a little bit, but you don't have to make it super perfect. And there you are. This is our flaky pie crust. Wasn't that easy? Just be confident. When you're cooking, guys, just be confident, and you can do anything. So I'm going to place that in the fridge for just a quick second because I forgot to get out my cling wrap. So I have some cling wrap here. I'm going to clean up my mess. Don't worry. I'll clean up my mess after I get this lovely pie crust wrapped. So here we are. Just give it a little bit more of a pat down. I like to make it into like not a circle, not a square, but in between, whatever that shape is. So we're going to wrap our pie crust in this cling wrap. Trying to get all the air out. I'm really not that great with wrapping, but it doesn't have to be super perfect. Now, it's best to use this the next day, but for sure you at least want to refrigerate this for 30 minutes to 2 hours for your best results. I had this in the refrigerator for about, I want to say 6 hours total today. I made it earlier this morning when I woke up. So I know this ball looks double size bigger because I did add that original ball that I made the day before to the ball that I have now. So that's why this is probably going to look a little bit bigger than yours. But if you're using the double recipe, it's going to look the same. So I have a little bit more flour out because we want to use a dry surface. If you don't have a mat like mine for pie crust or pizza dough, feel free to use a very clean countertop. As long as your countertop is clean, no chemicals, make sure you wipe it down a few times. Make sure it's dry. And then I have a rolling pin. Put a little flour on my hands or my gloves, my rolling pin, and on my mat here, just so our crust doesn't stick. I love making a mess. It's like, yes. This is so relaxing to me. And I know a lot of times we go out places like, how did they make this? I could never make this, but you can. And it's good to spend time at home to relax. You can do this with your family. You can do this with friends. I feel like it's very good therapy to cook, so I love cooking. So here's my huge ball of pie crust. So before I roll it out, I'm just going to kind of get it a little bit more of a circle shape, and then I'll start rolling. If you have any techniques that you would like to share with me or my lovely followers, just please feel free to comment, send me a message, and I can always redo the video with your suggestions. But for sure, this is how I do it, and I don't want it too thin. That's why this is the double recipe pie crust ball and not the standard size one that I show you how to make in the beginning of the video. So we just roll it out. And I do love this mat because it does give me an idea of how many inches my pie crust will be. Make sure everything stays nice and dry. Hands, we're going to flip it. You can kind of see how thick it is too. So I just definitely don't want it to stick anywhere. So don't worry about using the flour. It's not going to change too much of the recipe. A lot of the flour comes off. We're just using it so it doesn't stick onto my rolling pin or my hands or the mat. In your case, if you don't have the mat, it's going to prevent it from sticking from your kitchen countertop. So here we go. So I'm rolling it. I like to roll it a little bigger than usual. And this is because when you roll it a little bit more, it just helps with the edges of the pie crust, because pie crust shrinks a little bit once you bake it. So you definitely want to make sure you have that nice thick pie crust around the edges versus just having it at the bottom and around the sides. It's going to make sure it's nice and beautiful. So here I am and it's kind of heavy because, like I said, this is the double recipe. So you want to carefully place your pie crust in your greased pan. I sprayed down my pan, my deep dish pan, with just some butter Pam spray, and I've had it in the refrigerator while the pie crust was cooling as well. So that's another prep. I'll make sure I put that tip in the description box so you guys won't forget. Hopefully you read the description box before you just jump right into the video so you can get all of your ingredients ready and you can have it prepped and ready to go just like me. So we want to fold our edges. Any edges that are hanging over, you don't have to cut them. You can if you want to, but I prefer to just not waste any of my pie crust. And yeah, I just roll it under, tuck it up under there, make sure I get my edges nice and pretty. Mine isn't as uniform as a lot of the bakers. I'm more of a chef, not a bakery or pastry chef, but there are a few desserts that I do like to make from scratch. But I definitely don't consider myself as a pastry baker. It's more so of, do what I can to get by, especially when I want pie from scratch. So here's our finished pie. I also got this nice baking dish from Walmart. You guys know my favorite place. Very inexpensive. I believe I paid about $8.95, $10 with tax. So it wasn't a bad investment. I do like to purchase glass bakeware because I feel like it lasts longer, it doesn't rust, and it's easier to clean in my opinion. So here I have one egg. I just have the egg yolk. So I separated my egg yolk from the white, and I'm just using an egg yolk and my nice brush to brush around the edges. We don't have to do the inside of the pie, of course, because our filling will be there. But I definitely like to do my kind of like egg wash glaze, whatever you want to call it. I do that all around the edges. And we do this for different reasons. One reason is so it doesn't burn as quickly. Another reason is so it gives you like more of that glaze. After that, you want to add your pie filling. Your oven should already be preheated. Like the description says, you preheat your oven to 350 degrees. So today I decided to make a sweet potato pie. Now, if you want to learn how to make this sweet potato recipe, which is so amazing, oh my gosh, y'all, you have to try it. It's so good. So that'll be in another video that I'll upload after this, because I did record those steps. This video is just to basically show you guys how I make my pie crust in case you're making an apple pie, cherry pie, blueberry pie, peach cobbler. This video is just really about the crust. But as you can see, I added sweet potato filling to mine. And it's a deep dish. So this is about 4 sweet potatoes. So if you're making this double pie crust recipe, you can definitely make sure you have enough ingredients to fill that deep dish pan, because you're definitely going to have enough pie crust for your dish. So after we add our filling, and this is how it looks before it's in the oven. Again, the oven is on 350 degrees. It's been preheated. And here we go with the final results. Ta-da! So you see how that egg wash gave us brushing that egg yolk on our pie edges. You see how it turns out? Another tip is to bake your pie not necessarily on the middle rack, but on the rack below that one. So it's like the next rack under the middle rack in your oven. It's about 3 racks down if you have 4. So you're not going for the total bottom, but you're gonna kind of be under that middle rack. And I baked this for about 1 hour and 20 minutes because it's a deep dish pie. And this is the result. I feel like it came out beautiful, and I'm pretty sure yours did too. I'm so proud of you. And here's another video of just a close-up, a different angle for you guys to see how my delicious, amazing sweet potato pie came out for the holidays, just in time. Like I said, this can be an apple pie. Imagine it being a pumpkin pie, cherry pie, peach cobbler, whatever. But this is the pie crust you want to use. So I wanted to cut into the pie also, so you can kind of see that layer at the bottom, and also see how thick the crust is at the top. Another quick tip is to be sure you let your pie cool completely, or at least 90% before you dig in, just so you can get those nice pretty slices. Thank you guys for subscribing, supporting my YouTube video, commenting, liking the videos. I appreciate you guys, and I hope this helps. Happy holidays.